Sir Isaac Newton, the ingenious scientist. Good morning, class. So, the lesson that we are going to see today is Sir Isaac Newton, the ingenious scientist. At the end of the class, you will be able to have a clear outline of what the author is trying to say, understand the theme of the prose, relate the connection between each line in the lesson, Sir Isaac Newton, the ingenious scientist, know the meaning of hard words used in this prose. Sir Isaac Newton, the ingenious scientist. Okay, now let's get into the lesson. Okay, so from the topic of the lesson, Sir Isaac Newton, the ingenious scientist. Ingenious means being creative or very intelligent. That is thinking out of the box, something like thinking out of the box. So we understand that Sir Isaac Newton was a smart person and he was very creative. He was different. Okay, now let's get into the lesson. Section 1. On Christmas Day in the year 1642, Isaac Newton was born at a small village of Ulsthorpe in England. Little did his mother think, when she beheld her newborn baby, that he was destined to explain many matters which had been a mystery ever since the creation of the world. So here we know that he was born on Christmas Day, that is 25th December in the year 1642. And then he was born in a small village called Ulsthorpe in England. So this comes in 1 mark, so make a note of it. Little did his mother think when she beheld her newborn baby. So her mother didn't know that he was someone born to explain a lot of matters that was mystery since the creation of the world. Isaac's father being dead, Mrs. Newton was married again to a clergyman and went to reside at Northern with him. Isaac was left to the care of his good old grandmother, who was very kind to him and sent him to school. So, as Isaac's father passed away, Isaac's mom got remarried and she moved to a place called Northern with him. And so, Isaac was given to his good old grandmother to be taken care of. So, he was grown along with his grandmother and she sent him to school. In his early years, Isaac was chiefly remarked for his ingenuity in all mechanical occupation. So, in his early years, that is when he was very small, so he was known for his ingenuity. That is his cleverness, how smart he was. Ingenuity, the ability to invent things or creativity. So, he was known for it. In mechanical occupation, that is something that involves all the screws and gears and all. Okay, he had a set of little tools and saws of various size manufactured by himself. With the aid of these, Isaac contrived to make many curious articles, at which he worked with so much skills that he seemed to have been born with a saw and a chisel in his hand. So he always had a toolbox with him, like he was born with a saw and chisel. So basically they are like mechanical tools. So that way he was portrayed to be. The neighbors looked with vast admiration at the things which Isaac manufactured, and his grandmother, I suppose, was never weary of talking about him. He'll make a capital workman. One of these days, she would probably say. No fear but Isaac will do well in this world and be rich before he dies. So the grandmother says that Isaac will definitely be a good capital workman and he'll become rich before he dies. So she's not scared. She's very confident that Isaac will definitely be he'll make well in the world. He'll be well and fair in the world. Okay. Some of his friends, no doubt, advised Isaac's grandmother to apprentice him to a clockmaker. So basically, apprentice is work for someone to learn skills. So the grandmother's friends are saying to make Isaac Newton apprentice to a clockmaker. So make him work under a clockmaker. Okay. For besides his mechanical skills, the boy seemed to have a taste for mathematics, which would be very useful to him in the profession. And then in due time Isaac would set up for himself and would manufacture curious clocks like those that contain set of dancing figures which issue from the dial plate when the hour is stuck, or like where a ship sails across the face of the clock and is seen tossing up and down on the waves as often as pendulum vibrates. So basically there are a lot of designer clocks we might have seen as well. So there is this ship like seconds hand that moves across, and then there is dancing figures. So in the olden days and all, when like 12 o'clock strikes, there's this bird that peeps out, a dancing figure that like rotates. So the neighbors, they say to apprentice Isaac to a clockmaker so that he might even come up with some curious unique designs. Indeed, there was some good ground for supposing that Isaac could devote himself into the manufacturing of clocks, since he had already made one, a kind which nobody had ever heard before. It was set a-going not by wheels or weights like the other clock, but by dropping of water. So just like how he was expected, he made a unique clock, but not by wheels and weights, but by dropping of water. This was an object of great wonderment to all people in the neighborhood, and it must be confessed that there are few boys or either men who could contrive to tell what o'clock it is. So this is a pun basically. By means of bowl of water. So the clock could tell time by means of bowl of water. Beside the water clock, Isaac made a sun clock. So beside the water clock, Isaac also made a sun clock. Thus his grandmother was never at loss to know a hour. So the grandmother was never late for anything. For the water clock would tell it in the shade and the dial in the sunshine. So the water clock, when there's no sun, could tell time, and the the sun dial in the sunshine, cause like the sun dial works with the help of sun. So only with the sun shade, the shadow, it could tell time. So this has a great advantage that at night time we don't have shadow, right? Like at least not like in the daytime. The moon gives shadow, but there are even the waxing and waning of moon does cause a change in shadows and all. So um, he used the water bowl to tell time at the night and the sundial to tell time at morning. Isaac possessed a wonderful faculty of acquiring knowledge by the simplest mean. So he has a great technique for acquiring knowledge by a very simple mean. For instance, what method do you suppose he took to find out the strength of the wind? He jumped against the wind, and by the length of his jump he could calculate the force of a gentle breeze, a brisk gale, or a tempest. So gentle breeze is like a normal breeze. Brisk gale is a little heavier wind, and tempest is something more like a storm. Okay, thus even in his boyish sport, he was continuously searching out for the secret of philosophy. Not far from his grandmother's residence, there was a windmill which operated on a new plan. Okay, so and then what happens? Isaac Newton, he had the simple way of acquiring knowledge by literally staring at it or like experimenting with it. So and then near his grandmother's house there was a windmill. So Isaac Newton, like in the beginning of the days, he started like to stare at the windmill, and then when the windmill is at rest, he goes and examines the internal functions of the windmill. Like he goes and sees how the machinery parts of the windmill are, and then he takes notes from it. Like he was kind of observing it for a very long time, and then at one point when he had gathered enough information, he stopped doing it, and then what he did, he was found to be quite busy for a long period of time. He was like found to be with his tools, the tool set. So the people, the neighbors were wondering what he was up to right now. And then one day all of a sudden, and then he came out, and then he had manufactured a toy windmill just like the original one, just like the big original one. He came up with a replica of a toy windmill in the size of a squirrel trap, which is basically like some 20 centimeter maximum. So he came up with a toy windmill in that size. It had a very unique specialty that it just didn't rotate, the fan just didn't rotate, it also did the function of the original windmill, that is grinding of grains. So when you put a a handful of grains in the hooper, it converted the grains into snowy white flour. So this was kind of surprising to everyone. This unique function made everyone to think and astonish. Okay, so basically this is what all the lines are about. So the neighbors and grandmother was very shocked and surprised to see the construction of the model of windmill. It was not very large, yet it was neatly made with linen and squared around with it was like beautifully made. It was like given neat cloths, and the fans were made with beautiful cloth, and with a puff of wind it would rotate. Like if you just blow like and it would start rotating. Not just rotating, it also did the function of the original windmill. It could grain the grains. Okay, so the meanings are ingenuity, the ability to invent things, or creativity. Contrived is again invented or created. Apprentice, work for someone to learn skills. Acquiring, getting knowledge or skills. Pride, investigated. Hooper, funnel shaped bin for feeding grains into the mill. So that is where you put the grains into and it becomes flour. Okay, section 2. Okay, so what happens in section 2 is one of Isaac's playmate. One day he comes and asks, "You have just replicated every single detail from the original windmill, but you have missed something, my friend." Okay, so the line he says is, "But Isaac," said one of them, "you have forgotten one thing that belongs to the mill." "What is it?" "What is that?" asked Isaac, for he supposed that from roof of the mill to its foundation he had forgotten nothing. "Why?" Okay, so this is the conversation between the two friends. So the friend of Isaac asks, "You have forgotten one thing." So Isaac is like, he's wondering, from the roof till the foundation he had forgotten nothing. And then the friend says, "Why, where is the miller?" said his friend. And now this is becoming a sarcastic conversation. So the friend is asking, "You have not forgotten every detail, but where is the miller?" Miller is the one who operates the windmill. So his friend is asking, "Where is the miller?" So then, "That's true, I must look out for one." So now they laugh, and then Isaac is like, he's in a sarcastic tone answering, "Yeah, that is true, now I must look out for one." And then Isaac thinks he could have just made a cutout of the miller, just a figure, a miniature figure, but that will not do the duties of the miller, right? You can just place a two-legged miller, but that will not perform the duties the miller would do. And then he starts to think about it. As Isaac grew older, it was found that he had far more important matter in his mind than manufacture of toys like the little windmill. So becoming older, as your thoughts even starts developing and becoming mature, he's having a lot more important matters to think of in his mind. So he was always seemed to be engaged with either thoughts of philosophy or books of mathematics. So this is how his schedule went. At night, I think it probably he looked up with a reverential curiosity to skies and wondered whether they were world like our own and how great their distance from Earth would be. So at the night times and all, he used to gaze up to the sky, and then he asked all this philosophical, all the scientific questions, like if there was another world just like us, and what would the distance from that world to this Earth be, and how will it be, and what is the thing that kept the world and function? What is the thing that like keeps all the celestial beings in its orbit? And so he had all these questions, and then one day he decided, like, in after days come, when I'm thinking of this again, I must have an answer for myself. I must not be blank like now. So Isaac was just 14 years old at that time. And then what happened? There's an unfortunate event. Isaac's father, he passes away, the second father, when he was 14. And then his mother comes to Ulstrop, and they are managing their farm. And then for the helping in the farm, his mother is calling for Isaac to quit school. So and then according to the mother's words, Isaac does quit school and he works in the farm for 2 years. But he couldn't stop thinking, and he badly wants to go back to school because he was very determined and he was an ambitious person. Um, and then so his mother understands that Isaac badly wants to go back to the school, and then she rejoins him after completing his school. He joins in the Cambridge University. He gets into the Cambridge University, which is one very prestigious and reputed college, and it's not an easy task to get into it. And then he goes, and then after going to the University of Cambridge, he does not stop just there. He finds out the nature of light. So until then, light was just a mystery to everyone, and then he finds out the nature of light. Before his day, no one could tell what sunshine was composed of until then. So composed of is made of. So until then, no one could tell what sunshine was made of. So and then he explained what the sunshine was made of. Okay. And then, do you remember the story of an apple falling in his head? The way how he found gravity. So these are some of like his inventions, you could say, his ideas basically, which resulted in a remarkable inventions. So from the apple he found what gravity was. So he explained how every heavenly bodies stood in its course. So for the question that he once had when he was like around 14 years old, now he has got the answer that gravity is the one that holds everything in its proper position and place. And then he just didn't stop with finding an answer. He kept investigating more and more. He was a very curious kid. So as a boy he found out the mechanism of windmill. As a man he explained his fellow men the mechanism of universe. So as a grown up person, after finding all the gravitational force and all the nature of light, his head is filled with thoughts, and his curiosity for investigation is just growing day by day. While researching, he was accustomed to spend the nights after night in a lofty tower. Lofty tower is high tower. So he is found to be spending his nights in a lofty tower, gazing at the heavenly bodies through a telescope. So this is how he's been spending his nights with. Indeed, to spend the greatest part of his life in worlds to 1,000 light and millions of miles away from where the thoughts and hearts are, there are our true existence. So he says, like gazing at the stars, he's so into it. So that is where his mind and his hearts belong to. Newton lived a very old age, so he died in his 85. So he lived a very old age, renowned thinker, and was made a member of parliament and received the honor of knighthood from the king. So he was known for his renowned thinking, and he made a member of parliament and received a honor of knighthood from the king. But he cared little for earthly fame and honor, which is popularity. So he didn't care much for earthly fame and honor, but little did he know. So this is how he thought about himself. He thought about himself as a child, which is curious to, when you go to a seashore, we pick up the kids basically. They go and pick up shells, right? So in the brown mud, when you see some white shell, you are so attracted to it, like the one in the odd ground. So you go and pick up anything that is shiny or glimpsy, you go pick it up. So the same way, he says he's more like the kid. He calls himself as the undiscovered, the unraveled truth lies in front of him. That is the sea. The sea has so much of things that is yet to be discovered. The 80% of creatures in sea is yet to be discovered. So there are like so much things that are yet to be discovered. Yet we are like so much into the small shiny things that is found in the ground. So he says, I seem to myself like a child, he observed, playing on the seashore and picking up here and there a curious shell or a pretty pebble, while the boundless ocean of truth lies undiscovered before me. So this is how he portrays himself. At last, in 1727, when he was 85 years old, Isaac Newton died, or rather, he ceased. So ceased is basically like stopped to live on earth. We may be permitted to believe that he is still searching out the infinite wisdom and goodness of Creator as earnestly and with even more success than while his spirit animated a mortal body. So mortal is basically so immortal is god or angels or devil. So basically something that does not die. Mortal is human beings. We have a death, right? We definitely will die one day, so we are mortal. But immortal is god, who there is no point of ceasing, so it's forever. Okay, so the author says like Isaac Newton would have definitely found a lot of answers, you know, in the, even when he was animated in the human mortal body, um, like being confined to a body, he couldn't have got more answers. But now, as he is a free spirit, he would have found a lot of answers. And then he says he has left a lot of fame behind him, and endurable, as if his name was written in the letters of light formed by the stars upon the midnight sky. So that much fame he means. So he has performed a remarkable role. Okay, I love to hear about mechanical contrivances such as water clock and little windmill, remarked George. I suppose if Isaac Newton had only thought of, he might have found out the steam engine and railroads and all other famous inventions that had to come into use since his days. Very possible he might, replied Mr. Temple, and no doubt a great many people would think it more useful to manufacture a steam engine than to search out the system of universe. Other great astronomers beside Newton had been endowed with mechanical genius. There was David Rittenhouse, a American. He was a perfect little he made a perfect little watermill when he was only 7 or 8 years old. But this sort of ingenuity become but this sort of ingenuity is but a mere trifle in comparison with other talents of such men. So here there is a conversation, like the author is describing how great Isaac Newton was. If he would have thought about the railways or the steam engine, he would have definitely come up with it. But there are also a lot of genius people, maybe not focusing more into the astronomy, but like into mechanical expertencies. So he says there was also another genius person, David Rittenhouse, an American. He made a perfect little watermill when he was at the age of 7 or 8. So basically, this is like a motivation for you kids. You are probably 14 to 16 years old or 13 to 16 years old, but like when you think, when there's an idea, there is obviously a way for innovation. So all it needs is a thought. Okay, now let's go into the question and answers. Isaac Newton was born on Woolsthorpe in England. Okay, so I explained you this. So he was born in Woolsthorpe in England. Grandmother was advised to apprentice him to a clockmaker. Isaac made a clock by dropping of water. The sundial made by Isaac is still in existence at Woolsthorpe, the place he was born in. Isaac conducted a model of the Isaac constructed a model of the windmill. Okay. Choose the correct synonyms. So Isaac was chiefly remarkable for his ingenuity. So remarkably is notable. Capital is excellent. Composed is made. Fame is popularity. Okay, you guys can just pause and copy the questions down. You can pause the video and copy the questions down. His grandmother was very kind to him. So kind is opposite is cruel. The boy seemed to have a taste. So taste is liking. So opposite is dislike. Possessed is to have, own. So the opposite is lacked. Usually is commonly. So the opposite is rarely. Okay, for the question answers, you can pause and you can copy it down. Okay, so as the class is now over, so I hope you have a clear outline of what the author was trying to say, and I hope you also did understand the theme of the prose and also the connection between each lines, and I hope you also learned some new hard words and you understood it. Thank you, class.